Okay, so in this video we're going to have a little chat about the importance of staying in the present moment, staying anchored, and the wisdom of caring for our nuclear family and caring for our immediate communities whilst putting prayer out there, because there is a lot going on in the world, but not buying into what's being fed through mainstream. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi and welcome to Oaklaw Door. For those of you that know me, my name is Claire Attio. For those that are returning subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as I said in the intro, bringing it back, bringing it home, bringing those energies home. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. And I am fully aware that there is a lot going on out there, and there are a lot of people in need, a lot of people that are going through hell. Basically, they are in a living hell because of what's going on in the world. But it's interesting, I'm doing this video because I had a conversation with a member of my family this week, and they made a glib comment, oh well, if we'll all be here in a year's time we might all be at war. And I was kind of like, I don't watch mainstream, so I don't want to feed into the matrix of the chaos that is being intentionally created so that we live in fear, so that we're not able to access the higher vibrations of love and maintain them. Because when we do, that's when we achieve freedom. That's when we break free from the slavery that basically run society at the moment. And I'm not here to change anybody's minds, and I'm not here to get political, although some of the things that I will say will have political connotation. We can't get away from that. That's life. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to hopefully inspire you to think for yourselves. The conversation I had with that member was, well, you know, you're buying into what's being fed to you. Oh, well, it's happening, was the response I've got. And I went, yeah, and there's a lot of other things happening. I said, we don't hear about Gaza, for example, and the numbers between both states, because she was talking about the Ukraine, obviously, because we are part of Europe, or we were part of Europe in the UK. And so this morning I was kind of guided by my team to look at the numbers, and to be honest, there's only 5,000 between the deaths, and yet nothing is being said there. Nothing is being done. And I couldn't help, my mind went to the point of this crisis, to the starting point of this crisis. And I can remember I was still living in Spain at the time. And I can remember saying to my then Spanish family, well, why is the UN not getting involved? If all they've got to do is kind of put everything on the front line, and that will stop. Now, UN, let's not forget, UN stands for United Nations. And yet, because of politics, because of money, because of power, because of covert gameplays that go on, that was not permitted. It wasn't allowed. And yet the UN was established. And I know I'll get people in the comments going, oh, that's not quite right. But simplistically, the UN was established so that all nations came together when they were faced with a dominating force that wanted to assert themselves in countries that did not belong to them. And yet nothing was done. The war was allowed to start, and it has continued, and many people, innocent people, have lost their lives. I'm not in agreement with war. But I'm also not happy with those that target military personnel. Those military personnel are there because they believe they are fighting for the safety of their country. And for that, they should be honoured. My issue are with political regimes that stand to make lots and lots of money on the lives, the lost lives of innocent people. And as I said, in mainstream at the moment, there is nothing about the other wars that are going on. And there are many. There are many wars going on globally. There are many insurgencies occurring. And nothing is being mentioned about that because it's not politically advantageous. It's not financially advantageous. It's not powerfully advantageous. Let's just keep that in mind, but also let's, from a spiritual perspective, so that's kind of 3D level, from a spiritual perspective, let's go back to some videos that I put out a couple of years ago where I was talking about how the energies would unfold and start to shift, and that the humanity, it will become darker, as it did back in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. It will get darker before the dawn. These energies, in a way, have to play out. It's a divine orchestration in the hope that we will learn. And I know for some people, and I know for not some, a lot of people that are in that living hell, they go, what's she on about? You know, we shouldn't have to go through this. No, you shouldn't have to go through this. But let's make it the last time that humanity does have to kind of go through these things. Let's actually learn and evolve. Let's grow. Let's look at our history, not so we can repeat it, but so we can learn from it. Bring it back to self. Bring it back to your beliefs. I'm not asking you to take on my beliefs. I'm asking you to just sit and ascertain whether you are feeding into what is being said. And do you need to do that? Is that for you? Or do you sit and educate and learn about history and start to understand it and understand the psychology of humanity and where we're wanting to take it, and understand energies and the universe and how it all works together and what's actually occurring here? Because we are going through a massive, massive shift. And so it's desperately important that we stay away from the chaos and mayhem and we bring it back to ourselves. We anchor ourselves. And as I said, not in a selfish way, but in a way so we can actually co-create something positive, something beautiful for future generations. It's about legacy. There are certain aspects of our past creations that can do nothing but play themselves out. But what we don't want to do, what we should be asking ourselves is, do we want to add to those paradigms, or do we want to create new, nurturing, evolved, higher vibrating paradigms for future generations? This is our chance, this is our time. Be very mindful of where you're allowing your energies to be guided. Take back control of your energy, your thought processes. Thoughts create things. Vibration creates things. When we bring ourselves back to ourselves, when we anchor ourselves in ourselves, when we connect and listen to the guidance of divine, not the guidance of politicians or media or mainstream sheepery, when we start to stand in our sovereignty and be the shepherd of ourselves, That's when we get that inspiration. That's when we get creative. That is when we can tap into the guidance of the divine, of what we want to create in a positive way on this planet for future generations, our legacy. We are in such a fortunate position. The other generations that have passed, because let's not get into the blame game, other generations of the past didn't have the information, didn't have the education that we have been privileged to have. They didn't have access to people across the globe to be able to have conversations so that we gain a better understanding. We have all that. Are we making use of it? Are we educating ourselves correctly? Are we making choices from the heart rather than what's being fed to the mind? And in that, are we taking responsibility for what we're feeding our minds? I can't answer that for you. I can only answer it for myself. But these are desperately needed questions that each and every one of us need to ask and then answer the call of the divine. It was Einstein that said that the paradigm, the paradox, the definition of idiocy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting change. Are we going to do that? Or are we going to bring it back to ourselves? Are we going to ask these questions of ourselves? Are we going to be reflective and make changes within ourselves so that we can create a different future? I'm going to leave it there. I hope you liked the video. If you have, hit that like button. If you've not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe and the notification bell so that you're notified when a new video goes up. Until next time, beautiful souls, blessings to you all.